About a year ago, in fact, a year ago in October, there was an NRC letter to Southern California Edison questioning the concrete re-pour of the San Onofre domes. It was a concern of ours in 2005 because Edison had had several years of being unable to meet their safety culture standards, and we were a little concerned about cutting 28-foot by 28-foot holes in containment, taking the old steam generators out, putting them back in again until they had operated maybe 1/4 without the safety culture problems. We went to first we went to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and they said, no, we're not really worried about this. And so we went to Senator Kehoe, San Diego State Senator, and Senator Boxer, and said, we're concerned about this, and they sent a letter to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission saying, we're a little concerned about this too. And the Nuclear Regulatory Commission wrote back and said, well, don't worry your little heads about this. We're looking at this very carefully. So this is the NRC looking at steam generators very carefully. However, in October of last year, I received a letter from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission to Southern California Edison about the cement pour of the domes. And I didn't know what it meant. I'll be very frank with everyone here. And so I waited until I saw Edison's response. I still didn't know what it meant, but I sent it to a senior nuclear engineer at the Union of Concerned Scientists, who everyone knows, Dave Blackbaum, and asked him what it meant. And he says, well, it's probably one of three things. Either they just didn't cross their T's and dot their I's, and when they do that, it'll be okay. 2, they've got some smaller problems. Or 3, it could be a great big problem. So I wrote the NRC back, and I said, what's the status of this concrete issue? And they didn't respond at first. And so I wrote them again, and they responded and said, we're looking into it. I wrote them again in June and asked them about what was going on, and they said, we're looking into it. I asked them again in September, and they said, again, we're looking into it. And I said, will we know before October 9th when the NRC comes to town? And they said, yes. We don't know. We haven't received an answer to that. So basically, we know the yolk of Humpty Dumpty is not working well. Now we know the shell of Humpty Dumpty may not be just fine. And so we're fairly sure that all the king's horses and all the king's men are going to try to charge the serfs on this, and we'd like to know some answers before they try.
Let's hear from Elmo Collins. So we're going to hear from Elmo Collins on this. Elmo, what do you say on that?
Yeah, I appreciate. Would you summarize your question, Rochelle, for me so we can make sure?
What's the status of the cement, or this concrete at San Onofre?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for that question. I'm going to let Ryan here take that one.
And please introduce
Sure. Away from the cameras switch here. Hi, I'm Ryan Lance. I'm with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I'm actually the branch chief over San Onofre, so one of my responsibilities is to make sure the inspection program is carried out at San Onofre. And Rochelle, thank you for that question. And we do have a goal of 6 months when something like this, there was a technical interface agreement, basically our request back for assistance from our headquarters office at the concrete restoration. And what I think you're referring to is the holes that were cut into the concrete domes, into the containments for the steam generator replacements. We had a question on some of the methodology that was used by Southern California Edison in examining the structural strength of that concrete. The methodology that they used was not specifically described in their safety analysis as a method that was used. That review is actually still ongoing. However, the technical resolution of that has been finished. We don't have any technical concerns with the strength of the concrete. The concrete has been restored, the domes have been restored. And what's left to be done is really the regulatory significance of not using a methodology that was specifically described. So that's really where we are on that.
Well, thanks, Ryan. And let's go to Pete Dietrich on that. And Gene, I'm not forgetting, we got to come back to you, okay? But let's hear on concrete or cement.
Well, I was just going to point out to make sure that everyone in the audience understands, and Rochelle, that you understand as well, that following the closing of the construction openings and the reassembling of the areas around where the construction openings were for the installation of steam generators, we tested both of the concrete domes using a process that's called an integrated leak rate test, where we actually press up the inside of that building with compressed air to a pressure around 60 pounds per square inch gauge and ensure that there is no leakage from the building, or that any leakage from the building is within allowable limits required within our technical specifications. And then also after the integrated leak rate test, we went back and looked at specific areas of the construction openings where it was closed up and did non-destructive examinations of some of those same areas. So in addition to just conducting the analysis of the strength of the concrete, there was a pretty serious or thorough set of tests that were conducted following the completion of that concrete work.
Okay, thank you.